Hi guys, in today's tutorial we're going to be painting a Genestealer cult Abberant from start to finish. But first of all, I want to say a huge thank you to my YouTube channel sponsors who sent me the miniature out for review. If you check the description box down below, you'll find a direct link to their web store, and every time you purchase anything from that link, it greatly helps my YouTube channel by directly funding me. So please use that link if you are going to purchase anything from Goblin Gaming. Unfortunately, I filmed this late of an evening and my living room lights aren't the brightest, so the miniature looks a little washed out and not as vibrant as it actually looks in the flesh. But hopefully you'll see in this tutorial when I'm painting in my loft that it looks a lot better than it does spinning around on this turntable. But anyway guys, I painted this up to a pleasing tabletop standard, and I hope you enjoy this tutorial and you pick up a few tips and tricks along the way. Go get settled in with a nice hot cup of tea or coffee and maybe even a nice cold beer, and we'll get started with the tutorial. We're going to start off by priming the miniature using Alclad 2's Lacquer Primer Grey. It's important to note guys that this is very harmful if inhaled, so please make sure you're wearing a respirator and you're in a well ventilated area. Also, it's important that you have PTFE solvent proof packing seals in your airbrush, as the hot liquid that is this Alclad 2 lacquer primer will eat away at rubber seals. After priming the miniature, I'm going to base coat the miniature using Games Workshop's base paint Rakarth Flesh. I thin this in the airbrush with water to the consistency of cream, and as you can see, it sprays absolutely beautifully out of my Iwata Eclipse CS airbrush. Now we're going to spray some Druchii Violet from Games Workshop's shade range onto the miniature, and we're going to create interest. I wasn't a big fan of the human flesh tone that Games Workshop use, as I think the Genestealers, even though these are hybrids, would still have a quite grotesque looking skin tone in my opinion. So we're going to go with like a purpley tinge to the skin tone. After the Druchii Violet are dried on the miniature, we're going to come in with Rakarth Flesh and we're going to dry brush it on the miniature. I'm using Games Workshop dry brush size small here, and as you can see, I remove most of the paint on some kitchen roll, and then we're going to very lightly brush over the miniature and catch all the raised surfaces, and this is going to highlight the miniature for us. after dry brushing all of the miniature, we're now going to come in with Games Workshop base paint Stegodon Scale Green, and as before I thinned it down to the consistency of cream in the airbrush just with water, and I'm picking out certain areas of the flesh here to be different in colour tone as to show that it's a hybrid and that the skin tones sort of mutating, similar to the Games Workshop paint scheme, which I think is fantastic, apart from the fact that they used some human like flesh tones. Now we're going to wash the Stegodon Scale Green with the Army Painter's blue tone. Somber grey is going to be washed onto the shorts that the Abberant is wearing. Thunderhawk Blue is going to be dry brush on all of the areas that were painted or airbrushed in Stegodon Scale Green. going to paint the eyes using Evil Sun Scarlet. And a great tip to paint tiny little things is to actually roll the bristles of the brush on on a palette or on your finger and get a really sharp point. And if you do this, as you'll see in a moment, like now, I roll the bristles into a brush and I get a very fine point on the bristles. Games Workshop's base paint, Mephiston Red, is going to be painted on the line cloth. Games Workshop's Null Nile is being washed onto the shorts of the Abberant. The line cloth is washed with Games Workshop shade Carabao Crimson. The pickaxe that the Abberant is holding is going to be painted using Vallejo Metal Colour Gunmetal Grey. Vallejo Game Air Earth is going to be painted onto the base. The Army Painter's Quick Shade Strong Tone is going to be painted on the base. Vallejo Game Air Silver is going to be dry brushed onto the pickaxe. Here I'm using MIG Pigments Rust. I believe this is discontinued, so you can use any rust pigment from Vallejo, AK Interactive, or Ammo of MIG, and you just add a tiny bit of pigment and it's just going to make that pickaxe look a little rusty. Games Workshop layer paint a Shabty Bone is going to be dry brushed on the base. And here we have our finished miniature. As I mentioned at the start of the video, unfortunately you can't see how vibrant the miniature looks in this particular part of the video, but hopefully you could see during the actual tutorial how cool the Stegodon Scale Green mixes with the Druchii Violet wash over the Rakarth Flesh. I think it's a great colour combo and really simple to paint, and you'll be able to replicate this on many troops for your Genestealer Cult army. Lastly guys, I want to say a huge thank you once again to my YouTube channel sponsors Goblin Gaming. Please use that link, it really helps my YouTube channel and I appreciate everyone that does use the link. And lastly guys, thank you for taking the time out to watch my tutorial, and I'll catch you in the next video.